Okay, so let's begin building the next application, which is the BMI Estimate. I've got one here already, but we're going to go through this from the ground up. So once again, create a new project. To narrow it down, mobile app, Xamarin Forms, or you might have it already here by now. Click Next and give it a name. I'm going to call this BMI Est. Call it whatever you like. In fact, I'm going to keep lowercase for this one, just to be sure. Put that there and create. Next, it should ask me about what template to use, and that will be the blank application template. Okay, and now it'll go off and build the project files. So we just wait for that. If it's all a bit slow, I'm not going to edit it out. I suggest you just advance 15 seconds ahead or whatever you've got on your video viewer. So we just wait for that one. Okay, so very similar on the Mac. I won't go through the differences now because they are so very similar. So before piling in, always good to check this one to see that everything's finished. It's still running background activities, putting this project together. So a little bit of patience, sitting back and waiting is helpful. So we just wait for that. There, everything seems to be done. Okay, so I'm now going to go through my update sequence, which I find personally I found to reduce issues later. So right click the solution and we go to manage NuGet packages, and we're looking for updates. Now, it will depend on the version of Visual Studio you've got and what's around at the moment. There are a couple updates to Essentials and Forms, two very important libraries. And these tend to work, or it seems to be, they tend to work with certain versions of, say, the Android SDK. So I like to keep them all up to date as much as possible. I'm not going to jump at that consolidate, that disappears. Okay, just check we're done. Yes, all done. Right. So that's my libraries up to date. Tools, Android SDK Manager. Just a quick look at that to see that there's no update button down here. I'm using API 28, which at the time of recording was the latest, and I keep it on the latest. The other thing to consider sometimes, the device manager. Occasionally I've had problems with it not wanting to deploy. So mine's running at the moment. What I can do is stop it and I'll show you. There we go. Right click and do a factory reset on my emulator. And now I will start the emulator because that takes a little while the first time, so it's kind of good to get it going. And you should see that appear. Okay, so that's in view. I will leave that to set up. Doesn't take too long. If you want to target iOS, you've got the option to connect to a remote Mac through SSH. That's quite good actually. I've done that and it works very well. So right click Android, because we're going to be using the Android emulator simply because I'm on a PC and I don't want a remote. And I'm going to set that as the startup project. One more thing to check, although I know it's up to date in this case. Go to its properties. If you remember, we're on API 28, so if we look at the Android manifest, we can confirm that the target Android version is level 28. So that can be kept up to date to the latest one. The minimum Android version that you can target, I've got set to level 21. Okay, no changes needed there. So that's got a main page, and a good indicator is if the previewer is happy. So if we open the main page, if your previewer is not visible, you can use this little button here to get a split view, and then you can switch between design and code. Okay, so the default is a stack layout with one label, and again, with a little bit of patience, just waiting the first time, that should appear. Let's check on the simulator. We're still booting. Bear in mind, I am running video capture software while I'm doing this, so I've noticed that consumes significant amounts of CPU, and so it might be a bit slower on my machine than yours. Right. So again, we'll wait. By all means, scrub forwards on the video. You might be able to hear the seagulls in the background. That's the kind of production quality I'm producing. What happens is, I've done this before, I've put myself in a soundproof room, set up a quality microphone and done recordings and rehearsed them and all sorts of things, only to find things change and you've got to do them all again. I have a day job and lots of other things to do, so those days are gone. The videos come as they do, a bit raw and a bit rough around the edges, but they do the same job. So, okay, I think that's the last step, setting up the renderer. Yeah, I think my machine is pretty loaded actually, which is why this is taking a while, and I'm running the emulator. Oh, we're getting there. I have known it do this a lot faster. Good. That one looks happy. Just waiting for the previewer now, and that will confirm that everything is set up. Good, and we're there. Just to confirm, delete that exclamation mark, and the preview updates. So we're in a situation where we have a working first project. Let's save that. Next, we're going to add an image.